Hi, everybody. I thought I would try something new this month, and I am doing a free tarot reading for everybody on the Sunday Seether in video format for the energies of March 2025. So let's get going. Even if you don't know tarot, just listen along. You might find some wisdom in this. So, what I want to say first, and if you see me looking down, I'm just looking at my tarot cards that I have pulled over here, that there are two very clear themes of this month. The first theme I would call you are not alone. And there is an ending of an energy cycle where you feel like you have had to shoulder and do everything on your own. The energies of March 2025 are asking you to release that as a false narrative. But in order to end the energy of feeling like you're doing everything all by yourself, you have to be willing to ask for help. And so this means asking for help from the people around you, of course. But I find more often and most potently, there is an energy of inviting work and asking of support from your spirit guides, from your beloved ancestors, from the land around you. So, asking help in the mundane sense, maybe you need help from friends, from community, from your family members, from your partner, from your children. But can you ask for support from the unseen world around you? They're a very potent ally that we have, and I think we underutilize their efforts. Right? They can really support us in doing what we need to get done. Right? So you are not alone is one of the themes of this month, but you have to remember that and you have to ask for help. The other theme of this month that I would call out that's really strong here is it's time to use your voice. So you are not alone and it's time to use your voice. And that is because I have almost all of the court cards in the sword suit. So I have the Page of Swords, I have the Queen of Swords, I have the King of Swords, and I also pulled the Knight of Swords as my card for the month. So there's quite an element here of a progression of feeling like we are able to speak our truth and all the energy that needs to come up in doing that too. So, what does it look like? What do you need to say? There's an element of leadership in using your voice too, right? And so, this isn't just speaking your truth, maybe just to yourself to some capacity. Maybe there are some things that you need to admit to yourself and say out loud just to you. Maybe there are things you need to say out loud to others. But there's an element of like, what do you need to speak truth into the world? What is something that you've been holding back in saying, in expressing? Where have you been muting yourself? Where have you been hiding yourself? Where have you been realizing or not realizing how powerful your voice is and the words that you have to say? Maybe it's the written word, maybe it's the spoken word, maybe it's art that you want to create, but there's something about using, and I point to this because the swords to me are very much like your throat chakra, something about what truth needs to be spoken this month, and particularly in like a leadership capacity, and in some cases like maybe a public capacity too. So let's go through these cards and I'll tell you one by one what they mean. So, but don't forget those two themes, like you are not alone and it's time to use your voice. Okay, so I asked first of all, what are the energies of March 2025? And I was a little nervous to ask this because if you follow any astrology or any other intuitives, you know that there is an intensity to March because of all the astrological positions and shifts that are happening. It's eclipse season. I'm not an astrologer, so I don't know exactly what else is happening, but there are some retrogrades. And so there could feel like some instability in March for sure, especially in eclipse season. And so first, before I get into the tarot, just kind of the general guidance for eclipse season that has always worked for me is to steady the body container, right? So when eclipses happen, it's not so much something that you need to do something, like you need to take action, you need to formulate a plan. The eclipse almost like works through you. And the way the eclipse works through you is it's working through your body. And you can have a steadier experience in life generally, but in particularly in eclipse season when your body container is steadied. And for me, what that means is I'm on my nervous system regulation every day. It's a non-negotiable. I am eating in a way that nourishes me personally. It might be different what I do than what works for you, but for me, that's a lot of protein, a lot of good fat, a lot of fiber, right? A lot of like just local vegetables from my local farmer, that kind of stuff, right? And I'm staying away from some of the stuff that, we all love, the caffeine, the refined sugars, those sorts of things that can really stimulate. So it's like, how can I be grounding my body system? So I'm taking my magnesium, I'm taking my minerals, I'm going outside, I'm getting sunlight, I'm connecting to the earth. So for me, whenever eclipse season comes around, it's really this reminder, ground the body container, like make my container through which the eclipse is going to move make that as steady as possible and like hold my center, right? So that's just good advice for any time in life, but it's a particular reminder, I think, during eclipse season. Anyways, like I said, I was a little bit nervous to do this reading because I was like, what if it's like a million challenging things? But I have to say, there's almost like a lightness to this particular reading. I don't think it means that, things won't be challenging as they've continued, as they have been for quite a long time, right? Or a little bit frightening, but there's a power here. And so I want you to consider your personal agency in the month of March and what that looks like. Okay, so the energies of March 2025, I got these 3 cards. So we have the 10 of Wands, the Queen of Swords, the King of Swords, right? So here we have our first like chunk of these, court card swords, which are very much about speaking truth to power. And developing your voice. But let's talk about the 10 of Wands first. So you can see right here, this is the classic card, trying to do it all himself, right? He's got the weight of the world on his shoulders. He's carrying these 10 sticks. He looks hunched over. He's kind of like, going uphill, right? When I get this card, it is my ancestors and my spirit guides being like, bitch, why haven't you asked me for help? Like, you are not alone in this world. We are at your back. We want to support you, but we need your consent in order for you to do that, right? And of course, if you're not somebody like me who has a really active relationship with their spirit guides or ancestors, it feels a little silly to ask the unseen world for help. And so I would encourage you this March to connect with an ancestor that you really love. Maybe it's a great aunt or a grandfather that's passed, or just somebody like, a beloved neighbor growing up, right? Somebody that had that energy of stability and kindness and compassion and groundedness that was a help to you in your life at any point, and they've passed on to the other realm now. And I would write a letter to them. And I would say, like, I would just detail whatever you're going through and ask genuinely what you need help with, from the smallest ask to the biggest ask, right? You don't have to carry the weight of the world by yourself. The unseen world is here to help us. If connecting with a person who's passed like that doesn't feel right to you for whatever reason, write the letter to your higher self and ask, like, hey, higher self me, some stuff is going on. Really could use your help and your wisdom, and like get specific on what you need help with. Another option is to connect with the land. Ask the land, ask the universe, ask whoever feels comfortable for you to write to connect with, okay? But ask for help. Get really clear. What are you going to need help with in March? Maybe you're going to need help with a work project. Maybe you're going to need help with not feeling so anxious all the time. Maybe there's a big family thing coming up, or you really want support around an element of your business or your partnership, right? Identify where you're carrying the load right now and be like, what would it look like? Like, what do I actually need? Like, if I were to ask for help, like, how would I identify? Get specific on the things that you actually need for help, okay? So the 10 of Wands says you are not alone. Ask for help, whatever that looks like for you in March. Then we have these 2 baddies. Queen of Swords, if you guys have been following me for a while, you know that she has just been around, okay? So she has been here for us for a really long time, for me, for my community for a really long time. I think there is an element of the Queen of Swords. It's about boundaries. It's about discernment. It's about turning pain into purpose and your purpose into power. And there's also this element of like, she's kind of a bad bitch and she's not afraid to use her voice. So there's an element here of speaking up to protect parts of yourself. Whether you need to speak up and state a boundary to somebody and say like, hey, the way you treated me like this was not okay. Or whether you just need to speak your truth. Somebody is denigrating you, or maybe there's some toxicity going on at work or in the family dynamic, or you really need to say something to your partner, or to your spouse, or to a friend. The Queen of Swords is here to be like, you can do this. I'm kind of flicking you forward. I'm nudging you forward. Like, use your voice to stand up for yourself, essentially, is what the Queen of Swords says. And then the King of Swords is use your voice to inspire others through your leadership, right? So with the energies of this month ahead, there's this way of like, you might need to feel like you can like ask for help around using your voice is something that I would have you do in March. If you need like a homework assignment to walk away from these energies, like say there's something you've been needing an opportunity. Maybe you want an opportunity to present. Maybe you need the courage to speak to somebody. Write your ancestors, write your higher self, write the land, whoever, whatever feels good, and consider like, where do you need support around using your voice, setting better boundaries, speaking your truth, right? That's really like the Queen and King of Swords is speaking your truth. The Queen of Swords does it more to protect you. Like, she's the leader of your internal parts. So she's protecting your inner child. She's standing up for you, for your needs. And then the King of Swords is doing this more from a leadership and inspiring others. So, you know, we're in a time when we need to be using our voice more than ever, right? And so this may also look like calling your reps. This may look like attending protests and chanting. This may look like saying tough things to family members. It may look like writing a letter to your newspaper, right? Like, whatever, like, use your voice for power. Okay, so that's like a theme for March for sure. Okay, so then the next row is 3 cards. It is, how do we navigate the energies of March? So we got the World, another Swords, the Page of Swords, and we have the Ace of Wands. I mean, the World is here when we're navigating and closing out a karmic cycle. So there may be an ending of something that's been going on for you. So if the energy of March is really all about speaking truth to power and knowing that you're not alone, you are not alone, and use your voice for power, those themes, there may be a completion energy. So like, what do you need to close out this cycle? What little last loops of not using your voice, of feeling like you have to do it all by yourself? Like, what would be the way? Like, when I get the World, what I really like to think about is like, if I were in a video game and this was like a level, what is the big bad that I need to get past this month in order to move on, right? That's kind of like the energy of the World, this karmic closure. Something big is ready to end, right? What is that? You can use the video game analogy. You can reflect your life like that. It might be something else, but there's this energy of like, you're closing out one big like life lesson and you're going to start over again. You'll jump into the Fool to card 0 at some point. So how to navigate March? Look at it as this portal to close a big life cycle. Page of Swords. This is, so we have the Page of Swords, I had the Knight of Swords, we have the Queen of Swords, we have the King of Swords. There is just so much energy this month about using your voice, not being afraid to speak up, right? And the Page of Swords, offers this, which is that you know more than you already know a lot, right? Like, the Page of Swords is a beginner. There's a curiosity to their mind. They're not afraid to ask questions, to start new projects, to go on adventures. And there's an element here with the Page of Swords where you don't have to know everything to begin, right? So we have the King of Swords, who's up there, like, big public speaker, like inspiring speaker, and they have this total ability to use their voice. And the Page of Swords may feel like a little shrinking, like, I'm a beginner, right? But like, how much power comes in the beginner's mind? Like, the best questions are asked by beginners. The best ideas can come from beginners, right? So know, as you navigate March, it's okay not to always feel like the expert in using your voice in your writing project, if you're doing something for the first time, like calling your reps. It's okay to be a beginner. There's a lot of power in that. There's a lot of curiosity. There's a lot of open-mindedness. And then finally, we have the Ace of Wands. And so, what's important here is we had the 10 of Wands, and that's the completion of the wand cycle. And the Ace is the beginning of the wand cycle, like the new seed. So if we're ending with the 10 of Wands, we're done carrying all this energy, doing it all by ourselves. The Ace of Wands is a new invitation into new ways and to use our energy. So there's really going to be an opening for you in March to be like, does this actually align with my energy, right? Like, it might be good to write a list of like more of, less of in March, or like what nourishes my energy, what depletes my energy. And then like go through your calendar in March and like cancel all the things that deplete your energy and add in more of the things that nourish and grow your energy. The Ace of Wands really asks, it has us pause and be like, is this an energetic alignment with what I want to do and with my capacity, right? So to review how to navigate March, close out karmic cycles, no biggie, like whatever, but bring the video game analogy to it. Like, what big baddie do you need to slay to close down that lesson that you've been learning probably for a long time? Page of Swords, bring curiosity and open mind. Don't be afraid to use your voice, start new projects. And Ace of Wands, do this energetic check-in. commit in March to being like, I'm going to do my best to only do things that like feel kind of like a full body yes, right? That I actually have the energetic capacity for. Okay, and so our last little bit is coming up. So then I asked 3 separate cards. I asked, what is the lesson, the medicine, the why of this month? I asked, what is the kind of ally anchor card that we can rely on and come back to for this month of March? And then a message of support from our spirit guides and the universe for this month. So the lesson, the medicine, the why of this month is the 9 of Wands. Okay, so we have like the 10 of Wands, the Ace of Wands, the 9 of Wands. So there is like, when you start, and if you're reading tarot, you know this, but if you're new to tarot, something that can help you is that like when you're starting to see a lot of end cards, this cycle is closing. And when there's also a beginning card there, you're being invited into something new. So we're being invited, I think, again, into this. The 9 of Wands is really about like the sense of like hypervigilance and pushing through. Sometimes we need to push through. So this card could be saying to some element, it's almost over, like kind of just push through. But I think there's also an element here of being like, again, you are not alone, right? Look how alone this guy looks, how kind of busted and how tired, right? And he's almost to the 10 of Wands. So where can you settle your nervous system? Where can you ask for a little bit more support? Where can you just lay down your defensiveness, your hypervigilance for just a moment? I think there's a real lesson in this, like, what if things are okay? Which is a hard question to ask because so much is not okay right now. But like, where can you learn the lesson for your body and for your energy and your nervous system? Like, what would it be like to believe as if things were okay, that you weren't alone, that things were unfolding for a greater plan and you were a part of that plan, and you don't have to, hold the whole weight of the world up with your like intense focus and anxiety. So the ally anchor card for March is the 3 of Cups. Such a nice card. I mean, for sure, there's an element of community here. So what does your community look like? Rededicate to your community. Maybe that means going to your church or your book club. So if there's a thing where you're like, you get invitations to things and it sounds great in the moment, and then the night of you're like, ugh, this is the last thing I want to do. I would like go to those things, especially if they're like good communities with good people that eventually nourish you, right? Like, so there's this element of revelry, community. Don't be afraid to have fun this month. There's, like I said, I feel like there's a sense of like emergent energy and power of the voice almost in this month too. So don't be afraid to have some lightness, have some fun in March. This card for me is also very specifically a card of a connection and devotion to our ancestors. So there may be something about connecting to your ancestors. If your ancestral practice has been a little bit like fallen off, this is a good time to restart it. But I also really love this card as a card of 3, connecting to your higher self, your inner child, and your present day self. So what is that relationship looking like? Have you talked to your inner child in a while? Have you talked to your higher self in a while? Have they talked to you? I primarily do that through journaling. Occasionally I'll do check-ins with my inner child, my higher self, and I'll write back and forth as if I am the inner child and the higher self, because I am, they're all within me, and my present day self too. And so it's almost like we're having like a mini board meeting when I journal from all of these parts. So that could be something really good to do this month too. But overall, like connection with community, whether it's like your own internal community or the community around you or both, or your ancestors, there's this, when I get like the 3 of Cups and the 10 of Wands in a reading, I'm like, there is definitely something from the unseen world who is like trying to help you and get you to connect with them. Ancestors, spirit guides, the land. So, and we're coming into spring, thank God, right? Like, so this connection of like fresh energy and connecting to whatever spirits feel right for you in a way that nourishes you. 3 of Cards is here for that. 3 of Cups. And then finally, this is the message of support from our spirit guides and the universe this month, and it's the 8 of Pentacles. And this is a card of mastery. So this says just like, put your head down, do the work. Do the work, put your head down, right? So keep your eyes on your own lane, right? What are you attempting to master this month? Maybe there is something with our voice, right? That's been so strong in this particular reading. I don't know what else, but it's kind of like, just keep doing the work, keep doing the work, keep doing the work. right? This might be like you do your little 5-minute nervous system exercise every day. Keep doing it. It might be like you've committed to a 10-minute walk every day. Keep doing it. Maybe you're doing a creative work, like you've started a newsletter or a podcast or a journaling practice. Keep doing it. Even if it's like 3 minutes, 5 minutes, like keep with your eyes on the work. Don't be afraid of like the devotional aspect. I love this card because there's an element like I almost wish the way our society worked is that we had like apprenticeships because, and especially like in spiritual practices, there's such this like urge to be like, I'm an expert in this. Like I took a 6-month certification in this and now I know everything, right? And I can present myself as an expert to the world. And I'm like, where's the time when you had to study like 10 years to do anything before you could be called not even a master? You were like the master's helper at that point. Like there's such an element of like devotion and willingness to put in the time to your sacred purpose work that we have, this quick fix consumerist society has really taken away from all of us. So, I mean, I think with the 8 of Pentacles here, our spirit guides and the universe here is like, just don't be afraid of continuing to put in the work into whatever your purpose work looks like. It's okay if this takes a decade. It's okay if it takes decades. What are we in a rush for, right? The only thing we're rushing towards is the end. So take it easy, put in the work. Don't be afraid to make those small, meaningful practices every day. And yeah, that's what they wanted us to know. So I hope that was helpful. To me, it feels, nice. Like I thought there was like a niceness to this reading. There is kind of like a throw your shoulders back and let's go kind of energy, right? Like open up that throat, open up that heart, stand straight, use your voice. You're not alone. We can do this kind of energy in March. So I hope this helped. I'd love to hear your take, your thoughts, and yeah, I hope you have a really good March and a week ahead. Take care.